Dave Robertson. I'm an author. I also run a imprint with Penguin Random House Canada, an Indigenous run imprint. This trilogy has been going on for the last several years now, and this is the third book in a planned book series of 4. And so Godflayer is like the second last, and it's just this horror-inspired, almost like lead up to this big superhero, supervillain showdown. There's a lot of things in here that we can track back to residential school history. You know, they're experimenting on Indigenous children. They pick and select Indigenous people to imbue with these powers, to use them for their own gains, and so that is very much speaks to colonialism and the kind of the spirit of colonialism in the history of this country.
I understand that you've written 32 books, but you've kind of written everything from memoirs to now graphic novels. But I was curious to know what drew you to graphic novels.
Yeah, it's been fun with my career to do a whole wide variety of different forms and genres of literature. Graphic novels is where I started. There's always been a lack of Indigenous representation in comics in particular, and if we do have characters who are Indigenous in comics, they've always been very stereotyped, and that can be very damaging for children in particular, because children are very impressionable. So I wanted to start this series as a way to better represent Indigenous people in the area of like superhero comics.
So this series features an Indigenous superhero. I was wondering if you could talk a bit about the character development and how you sort of went about creating that character.
Cole is someone who has these superpowers, that he's trying to learn how to be a superhero. He's trying to accept the fact that he can be a superhero. And one of the tropes of the superhero genre that I love is this idea that every superhero has a weakness. So Superman has kryptonite, for example, and some of the character development for Cole is that he sees his weakness as mental health, anxiety and panic disorder, but his journey is really to learn that that is not a weakness in his life. It actually is part of what makes him who he is, and it makes him a better hero.
Why do you think graphic novels are a good medium to tell Indigenous stories?
Using the form of comics is taking advantage of a form that has historically been great to read and learn from for everybody. It's like we're visual learners as people, and we used to communicate through pictures before we even had words. So it's a very ancient form of communication. At the same time, it's a vessel for us to share our stories as Indigenous storytellers, and that's why you see so many Indigenous writers using the form of comics.
Godflayer was released on September 3rd and can be purchased online and at bookstores across Canada. Sierra Bettens, APTN National News, Winnipeg.